Tainted Colors, written by NickyD and read by Goombasa, commissioned by Author of Purpose. Rainbow Dash looks at herself in the mirror, staring at her reflection while holding a bag of frozen peas over her dark and swollen eye. She's breathing heavily after the confrontation she had with her mother not long ago. She can feel a pulse in her eye socket thumping slow and painfully, so it must be in bad shape. Man, she utters under her breath, adjusting the peas to a colder side. Rainbow's mother's bedroom is just next door to the bathroom, so she wants to keep her voice down. After all that has transpired in the early morning hours, she wouldn't want to wake her mother up from slumber and have a repeat of just what happened. Why does she have to be like this? She moves the bag of frozen peas away from her eye. It's a little hard to see out of. It's like having the widescreen option for a movie on the one eye with the picture all blurred up. The swelling went down a little. It's better than it was a while ago when it was still fresh. She brings a free hand to the swollen area to touch it. She recoils a little because her contact with it stings like hell. Rainbow opens a vanity drawer to grab some makeup supply. Being a top-tier athlete at Canterlot High, she wouldn't care much about makeup, beauty products, or anything involving cosmetics. That's Rarity's department. But she wasn't using makeup to make herself look pretty. She's using it to cover up her scars and bruises that have been caused by her mother. She wasn't always like this. Rainbow Dash had an amazing childhood with her parents. That is until last year when her parents started arguing. They would fight day in and day out, no matter where they were or what it was over. One topic that seemed to constantly arise was her future. Was she going to be an athlete, a vocalist, guitarist? Her parents would argue about the state of her future quite a bit. The poor girl couldn't live comfortably in her own home because of their continuous shouting. One day, Rainbow Dash's dad had enough, and he walked out on them. Her mother started to drink to cope with her husband abandoning her and her daughter. She would drink anything and everything. Beer, whiskey, vodka, wine, tequila, everything. Alcohol became her new best friend. She would get so drunk she would lash out at Rainbow Dash verbally and physically. She would tell Rainbow how much she reminded her of her husband. Same hair, same eyes, love for the Wonderbolt soccer team, or any sport for that matter. Rainbow Dash is practically a young female clone of her father, and she reminds her mother of him, and hated Rainbow for that. Rainbow wants to hate her parents. She wants to hate her father for leaving her with such a vile person as her mother, and she wants to hate her mother for being so violent and drunk, but she can't bring herself to hate them. She was raised by them, and she loved them growing up, and they loved her back. But that was then, and this is now. Yet how can she hate people who made her the young woman she is today? Rainbow Dash pours some blue foundation onto a makeup sponge and lifts it back up. She puts the bottle down on the counter and raises the sponge to the bottom of her eye. She tries to be super careful, making sure to not hurt her eye even more. She's been pulling off this fake mask of hers for a year, and she has fooled everyone she's come into contact with. Friends, teachers, coaches, everyone. She's been able to trick her close friend Applejack, who is known for her honesty in calling out fibbers. Rainbow Dash would probably be a good actor. Rainbow covers, to her, an even amount of foundation to the lower area of her eye using small, quick, and gentle strokes. She moves to the top part to do the same. She doesn't want to go heavy with the makeup because it wouldn't look natural, but at the same time, she wants to cover up as much as she can without raising any questions. Rainbow Dash puts the sponge down and inspects her work. Her vision in that eye may take some time to fully recover, but she can somewhat see. She doesn't drive to school anyway. She doesn't have to worry about accidentally hitting anyone. 3 more months, Rainbow, then you're out of here. Graduation is 3 more months away. Once she is done with high school, she'll be 18 and off to college. She got a free ride to her first pick of college because of her athletic abilities. She received many scholarships that covered 4 years' worth of tuition, and her college is 3 states away from home. Rainbow Dash will be free from this hellhole for quite some time. Beep, 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 beep. Rainbow picks up her phone and looks at the screen. Her phone's alarm is going off, telling her it's time to leave for school. She taps the screen to turn off the alarm and lets out a heavy sigh. Let's get through this day. Rainbow Dash puts her phone away and picks up her backpack that has been leaning against the bathroom wall. She places it on the counter and checks the contents inside to make sure she has everything she needs. Her books and notebooks are present, all her writing utensils are there. She's all set. She swings the bag off the counter and slings it over her shoulder. She slips her arm through the other strap and gives herself one last look in the mirror. All that she sees is a rainbow-haired girl staring back at her with a half eye shut. She nods to her reflection, walks out of the bathroom, and then out of her home. During the first couple of years of attending Canterlot Highschool, Rainbow Dash never really cared for much other than sports. She just thought school was a boring place to take information in and not apply it to real life. But she has come to appreciate it more when her mother started becoming abusive. She felt safe at school. Aside from other dimension takeovers that had happened this year, she felt that she couldn't be harmed. She has many great friends, is well respected among her fellow peers, gets along with the school's staff. School has become her safe place. Her mother couldn't hurt her here. If she'd stepped foot on campus, her drunken ass would have been escorted off the property. In a weird sense, the school became another home for the rainbowed teen. As she gets closer and closer to the school, she feels a buzz coming from her backside. She must have received a text message. She pulls her smartphone out of her pocket and reads the screen. I hope everyone has a super duper fantastic amazing day. Rainbow can't help but grin at her friend Pinkie Pie's text to the group chat. Pinkie Pie knows how to bring the sunshine and happiness into anyone and everyone's day. Rainbow decides to reply. I hope you have a great day too, Pinkie. A bubble at the bottom of the screen says that Pinkie is writing a reply. Thanks, Dashy. Hey, Rainbow, was your game cancelled? Today, Rainbow was supposed to have a soccer game, but the call for rain today is 100% from noon to 3 in the morning. It's a little cloudy now, but rain was just waiting to come out of those clouds. Not wanting to play on wet turf, the team's coach decided to cancel the game and reschedule. Yep, why? Maybe we can use today to get a band practice in. Fluttershy and I have some new stuff ready. And we have a gig next Sunday at the new pizza place. I'm okay with that. I'm open and would love to get that new stuff out. I'm not working today. Some more practice doesn't hurt. If staying after school for band practice means less time to spend with her mother and more time to spend with her friends, Rainbow sees no objections. Sounds good to me. As she puts her phone away, she accidentally bumps into someone. Oh, sorry, she says. Oh, don't worry about it, the familiar male voice says. The guy Rainbow bumped into is Flash Sentry. Good friend of the Rainbooms, fellow classmate, fellow guitar player, and overall nice guy. Oh, hey, Rainbow. How are ya? Good. Look, I would love to chat, but I don't want to be late for class. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'll see you around. Rainbow Dash picks up the pace and gets inside the school. She didn't want to keep eye contact for too long. Sure, Flash was a good friend, but she didn't want him to notice an eye half closed. She'll figure out a way to cover it up and make it look less noticeable. As she gets closer to her classroom, she can hear Flash's voice call out, Wait, Rainbow, you dropped your phone outside! Turning around, she can see the blue-haired guitar player running up to her with her phone in hand. She must have dropped it when she bumped into him outside. The young man reaches Rainbow Dash and extends her phone to her. Rainbow takes hold of her phone and puts it away. Thanks, Flash. No problem. The young man stops himself mid-sentence and notices something on Rainbow's face. More specifically, an eye of hers. Did something happen? Your eye looks a little odd. Flash notices her eye is half closed and looks just slightly bruised to him. Rainbow nervously lets out, covering her eye with her hand. She must not have put enough foundation on the area. She must have been too light with it, and some of the bruising was not covered well enough. I'm fine. Rainbow has to come up with something quick. I took a tennis ball to the eye yesterday. Rainbow Dash is the captain of almost every sports team at CHS. Tennis, soccer, basketball, track, lacrosse, golf, everything. Tennis practice was yesterday. It worked for her. Yeah, just covered it up with a little makeup. Guess I did a bad job at it. You should get Rarity to help you out next time. She's real good with that stuff. Yeah. Well, I gotta get going. Cranky will kill me if I'm late for class. Okay, I'll see you around. And try not to get killed. In that moment, Flash was off to the races to get to class. Rainbow just stood there and let out a huge sigh of relief. She was so close to having her secret let out. She doesn't want anyone to intervene, not even the principals. Rainbow Dash can handle this herself. 3 more months isn't that long. Letting out another breath, she proceeds to enter the first class, officially starting her school day. Aside from this morning, Rainbow Dash has a good day. She got a B on an essay she thought she would fail, got an A on a test she knew she would pass, 2 snacks come out of the vending machine when she only paid for 1. Things went well today. Band practice was also good. The new stuff Sunset Shimmer and Fluttershy prepared were some real great pieces. The band agreed as a whole to do them for their upcoming gig. But a few questions were raised about Rainbow's eye. Flash wasn't the only one who noticed. A few others did as well. All of her bandmates, a couple teachers, a few team members, and even Vice Principal Luna. She just told them the same thing she told Flash. A tennis ball got her in the eye. She played it off well, and made it sound believable. It's the end of the day for the group of 6, and they are making their way outside, each carrying their respective instruments in their cases. Good practice, girls, Applejack says. So it's agreed? Keep our song list the same? I think what we have is perfect, Rainbow Dash says, positively and a little egotistical. Once Tony's Pizzeria sees what we have, we'll make that place awesome and give it a crowd it deserves. Sunset Shimmer couldn't help but roll her eyes out of amusement. Well, girls, I have to get going, Pinky said. Maud asked me to watch Boulder for her while she's out of town. Can't keep him home by himself for too long. Same here, Sunset says. Except looking after a pet rock. I have like 2 essays to work on. Okay, girls, I'm gonna get home too, Rainbow Dash said. I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya, all of Rainbow Dash's bandmates say simultaneously. Rainbow turns on her heel and steps outside into the rainy outdoors, using her guitar case as a makeshift umbrella. Very quietly, Rainbow Dash enters her home, tiptoeing in. She closes the door slowly and quietly, not making a single creaking noise, even placing her belongings down gingerly. She shakes away any water that has hit her on the way in. If she doesn't get detected by her mother, she'll be fine. And where have you been? A female, adult voice says behind Rainbow. Crap, Rainbow Dash utters under her breath. Rainbow was hoping her mother would still be asleep when she got home. Rainbow Dash turns to see the woman in question holding a bottle of bourbon by the neck with her arms folded. I was, practicing with my friends. We have a gig coming up, and we could use the practice. Slowly, Rainbow's mother advances towards her daughter 1 step at a time. She gets super close to Rainbow, noses just inches away, just staring daggers into her daughter. She raises her free hand and strikes Rainbow across her cheek. The teen falls to her side and hits her head on the wall. Why are you wasting time with that ridiculous music? You should be focusing on sports and grades. It's just a hobby, Rainbow lets out, stuttering her words, scared out of her skin. I'm making a little money on the side with it, too. Are you talking back to me? Rainbow Dash's mother raises her voice a little, sounding like she has been offended by her own daughter. No, I was just... Rainbow's head gets knocked to the floor by a hard slap to the back of the head. Listen, you don't talk back to me, young lady. You really are like your father, aren't you? Talking back and arguing with me. But I wasn't... Rainbow doesn't finish because the wind has been knocked out of her. Her mother gave Rainbow a swift kick to the stomach, and it hurts really bad. The rainbow-haired girl clutches her belly in sheer pain. It's excruciating. Do you really want to test me, little lady? No, ma'am, she lets out, weak and hoarse. Now you listen to me. This music won't get you anywhere. Your athletics are who you are. I don't want to hear anything else about it. Shakily, Rainbow tries to get up. Her mother must have done a number to her with that kick. But what's wrong with it? For a response, Rainbow's mother grabs her by the shirt and pins her against the wall, banging her head in the process. Rainbow's mother raises the back of her hand and gives her a slap to the non-bruised side of her face. What did I just say about testing me? Rainbow stays quiet. I don't want you being around those so-called bandmates anymore. Do you understand? The teen doesn't want to answer. Her mother's tone in anger leaves her paralyzed in fear. Answer me! Yes, ma'am. I understand. Rainbow lets out. Quick and fearful. Out of her drunken rage, she throws Rainbow Dash to the floor like a rag doll, inflicting more pain on the girl. That's for not answering me the first time. As if she was delivering a penalty kick, Rainbow's mother kicks Rainbow Dash's back, causing the girl to groan in agony. And that's for not being home when I expected. She brings the bourbon bottle to her lips and takes a sip, letting the beverage burn her esophagus. I need to crash on the couch for some shut-eye. I have a splitting headache, and if I hear a peep from the likes of you for the rest of the evening, you will regret it. Do I make myself clear? Crystal, ma'am, she stutters, tears forming in her eyes. Good girl. Rainbow Dash just lays there on the floor, battered and hurt, as her mother falls on the couch, falling asleep immediately. Rainbow quietly sobs to herself, just laying on the cold wood ground, feeling pathetic. Fortunately for Rainbow Dash, the shower isn't really loud and is far from where her mother is. After all that has happened, she needed a nice cold shower to numb her aching body. Her face doesn't hurt much, but almost everything else does. Her back and stomach are bruised, her eye is still half shut, and she can feel a pulse in the back of her head. She's lucky she's not suffering any bleeding in that area. Rainbow had to crawl to the bathroom because she felt too weak to get up and walk herself there. And it wasn't a hands and knees crawl, it was a dragging your legs and solely using your hands crawl. When she reached her destination, she mustered enough strength to bring herself up, with the support of the vanity counter. She lowers her head a little, so the cool water can numb the back of her head. It was practically throbbing earlier, and the cool stream seems to work some magic on her pained noggin. As the cool water hits the back of her head, she looks over her naked body. Stomach with a huge mark in the center that will become a huge bruise in time. Her thighs are black and blue from another mother incident a couple of days ago. Her shoulders are bruised up too, and when she was looking at herself in the mirror earlier, her back was all marked up from the kick. Rainbow Dash is going to have a very uncomfortable night's sleep. The cold water is helping her alleviate the pain on those areas that have been afflicted, but it can't relieve the internal pain she is going through. Rainbow brings her hands to her shoulders, covering her breasts with her arms. She lets out a few quiet sobs and falls to her knees, then hitting the porcelain tub with a thud. Why do I have to go through with this? She uttered quietly. What have I done? On an almost daily basis, she has asked herself that question. What has she done? Is it her fault that her father left? Is it her fault her mother is an alcoholic? Is it her fault her mother is the way she is now? These questions raise her emotions, and she sobs a little harder now. By this point, she can't tell if it's the shower water or tears running down her cheeks. She rubs away the tears from her good eye, but leaves the bruised one alone. She still needs to be quiet. If her mother wakes up, she'll have a one-way ticket to the Pain Express. And that's before taxes, metaphorically speaking. But she knows she can last long enough. You can do this, RD, she mutters. Just 3 more months. That isn't long at all. Be strong for your friends and for yourself. Rainbow Dash would also give herself these pep talks to boost her confidence. No one else knew her situation, so she has to be the one to help herself. No matter how hard she tried, Rainbow Dash couldn't fall asleep. There's so much discomfort in her body. Almost everything hurts. Sure, the cold shower helped, but only temporarily. 5 minutes after she got out, her body slowly started to ache again. Her head stopped throbbing, which is good, but everything else still aches. She tosses and turns under the covers, trying different sleeping positions, arching her back, adjusting her legs, all seeming to fail. And the loud rain hitting the ceiling of her home didn't help much either. She tosses the covers off of her body, slips on her slippers, and quietly walks to the bathroom. She goes for the side wall and opens the medicine cabinet and immediately finds a bottle of some heavy painkillers. She's been taking these at least once a week to relieve her ever-so-sore body. She opens the lid and pours 2 pills to the palm of her hand. She screws the cap back on the bottle and puts it away. Rainbow then turns on the water faucet. She bends over and takes a quick swig of water, pops the pills in her mouth, then takes another swig to bring the pills down. She lets out contemptibly. "What are you doing?" her mother asks, standing at the bathroom door frame with her arms folded. Rainbow Dash jolts out of surprise. She didn't expect her mother to be up. She didn't even hear her approach. "I'm, just taking some medicine." "Medicine?" I was feeling pretty sore, so I took a couple painkillers." Rainbow Dash's mother raises an eyebrow. "What do you need those for? You don't need 'em." "Mother, everything really hurts. Stomach, thighs, my back." Rainbow Dash is cut off by a swift yet strong smack across the face, same side as from before. Rainbow falls to her hands on the bathroom floor. "If you need painkillers, you must be really weak and spineless. Do you think anyone would want someone like that on a team?" "Maybe I wouldn't need them if it weren't for you," Rainbow Dash says under her breath. "What did you just say?" Rainbow's mother's eyes go wide, pupils contracting, not believing what her daughter just said. "Was that out loud?" She herself couldn't believe what she had said. Did Rainbow Dash just really backtalk her own mother? Mrs. Dash takes hold of Rainbow's shirt to pick her up, and she pins her against the doorframe. One arm is across her throat, while the other has her free hand keeping a firm grip on Rainbow's shoulder. Rainbow immediately regrets what she said. I'm sorry, please don't hurt me." More tears are flowing from her eyes out of pure fear. "Begging won't get you anywhere, you little brat!" She moves Rainbow Dash inches away from the frames and slams her back against it, hard, making her choke for a brief moment. Rainbow's mother does this a couple of times, slamming her daughter against the doorframe, each hit stronger than the last. "I won't speak out against you again, I promise!" the teen exclaims, begging for mercy with a choked voice. The one holding Rainbow Dash against the doorframe tilts her head and raises a brow. Seeing she may be telling the truth, she lets go of her daughter. Rainbow Dash falls to the floor of her hands and knees, coughing up a storm and clutching her throat. "You're really lucky I decided to take it easy on you tonight. Don't let me catch you using any more medicine around here. Understand?" Rainbow lets out a wheezing cough before she responds, Yes. Good. Rainbow Dash's mother turns around and heads off to bed, leaving her daughter on the floor, weak and fatigued. She brings a bicep to her eyes and quietly cries into it. Rainbow knows her mother desperately needs help, and so does she. But she can't tell anyone about this. If she brings anyone in the middle of her situation, they could hurt themselves, or Rainbow would just be a burden to them. She doesn't want that at all. As she walks to school, Rainbow Dash lets out a lengthy yawn. The painkillers didn't do too much to help her out last night, and she was aching all over. She couldn't sleep because of it. Her aching back is affecting her posture, too. And Rainbow's backpack against the respective body part doesn't seem to help much. Not to mention the straps weighing in on the bruised shoulders. Whenever the sack rubs against her back, she would let out a small grunt. It's very uncomfortable. Rainbow could go to the nurse or athletic trainer's office to treat her injuries, but questions would be raised. She could say her gut just got whacked by a soccer ball, but a soccer ball can't do that much damage. It's best, at least to her, to keep her pain to herself. She could barely stay awake. When second period arrived, she kept zoning in and out of her teacher's lecture on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. Rainbow Dash is keeping her head up with a propped arm, hand under her chin. But that only did so much. It was as if barbells were hanging from Rainbow's eyelids. She snapped out of her daze when the teacher calls her name. Miss Dash? Yes, Miss Harshwinny? My question was, what was the protagonist's motivation to inflict harm on the old man in Telltale Heart? It was his eye. He couldn't handle staring into the eyes, so he killed him. Rainbow Dash had read Telltale Heart many times years prior. She knew the story inside out. Very good. Now, who can tell me? Miss Harshwinny's words start to drift away from Rainbow Dash's ears because sleep was desperately calling for her. But when someone to her right taps her shoulder a couple of times, she gets out of her trance. Her shoulders are still tense, so it kind of hurts, making her a bit more alert. They even raise up for half a second from the sensation. The one who tapped Rainbow's shoulder is Applejack. You okay, Sugar Cube? The farm girl quietly whispers. I'm good. I couldn't sleep last night. Why? Something up? No, Rainbow says defensively. I just couldn't sleep, okay? So drop it. Alright, fine. The two girls bring their eyes back to Miss Harshwinny, but their minds are preoccupied. Rainbow's mind has the want to fall asleep. Applejack can't help but wonder if Rainbow Dash is really okay. Study hall rolls around for Applejack. She is in the library trying to get some work done for algebra, but she can't. It's not because the work is hard to do. It's the fact that her friend couldn't get much sleep. Normally, Rainbow Dash is very alert in the morning, but not today. Not to mention the way Rainbow reacted when Applejack touched her shoulder. It seemed to have discomforted her. Hey, AJ! The mention of her name catches the farm girl's attention. She sees Sunset Shimmer walking up to her with a history book in her hand. Hey, Sunset. Let me guess. Cranky's history essay? Yeah, I want to make sure I have every source in order. What about you? What are you working on? Some algebra. Can't really focus, though. Something on your mind? Sunset asks, placing the book on the table and taking a seat on the other side of Applejack. It's Rainbow Dash. She seemed off today. Sunset raises a brow at this inquiry. What do you mean by off? She was about to fall asleep during Miss Harshwinny's class. That doesn't seem off. That sounds like Rainbow. It wasn't because she was bored, Sunset. She said she couldn't get enough sleep last night, and acted a little funny when I got her attention. Can you clarify? Well, I tapped her shoulder a couple of times. She looked discomforted by it. The red and yellow-haired girl brings her thumbs and index finger to her chin to rub it. That is a little odd. See what I mean? A collective amount of shh can be heard from around the library. Applejack's cheeks flush red from embarrassment. She should keep her voice down. Maybe I should talk to her about it. I don't know, AJ. I mean, we all have one of those days where it's impossible to sleep. Sunset, my gut is telling me something's up. And if there is something going on, what kind of friend would I be to stand by the sidelines and not do anything? After a moment of thinking, Sunset nods at Applejack's reasoning. Well, do what you feel is right. Applejack is in the locker room, getting changed into her gym uniform. As she is putting on her shorts, she sees Rainbow Dash carry her gym bag to the bathroom stalls. Is she getting changed in there? She never does that. Had she been doing that before and AJ just now noticed? Another reason to suspect something is up with her. When the rest of the girls finish changing, they walk out of the gym, ready for some basketball games. Applejack stays behind and waits for Rainbow Dash to come out of the stall. When Rainbow emerges from the stall, she is stuffing her usual clothes in her gym bag. You all right, Rainbow? Applejack asked, crossing her arms and shifting her weight on her right leg. The rainbow-haired girl looks up from her gym bag to see her friend. Applejack didn't notice earlier, but her eyes seem to be healing all right. But she also, just now, notices a red mark on the lower part of Rainbow's neck. Yeah, of course I'm fine. Rainbow Dash starts to walk toward the main locker room area, but is stopped when Applejack puts a hand at the center of her chest, stopping her. Rainbow lets out, feeling sore and uncomfortable. Okay, I barely even touched you, and it sounded like you were pretty discomforted. Rainbow Dash bites her lip. And you're biting your lip, too. Something's going on, right? Rainbow brushes Applejack's hand off of her and proceeds to walk to the locker room, with Applejack following her. I'm fine, AJ. Now let's go. Coach is going to be wondering what we're doing in here. Not until you tell me what's going on. Look, I'm fine. What's going on with me is none of your business. Applejack points a finger at her. So there is something going on. Rainbow stops dead in her tracks. Applejack is close to knowing, and Rainbow tipped her off. And what do you mean, not my concern? I'm your friend, for goodness sake. Applejack, Rainbow Dash, you just admitted something is going on with you. And I can tell whatever it is real bad. You know you can tell me. She trails off. Applejack is super close to knowing. Rainbow can feel it. You can tell me. I want to help, Applejack says softly. But I'll just be a burden. Okay, those aren't words Rainbow Dash would ever say. Applejack is taken aback by this. A burden? Look, Rainbow, you won't be. Just tell me what's up. I'll listen. Applejack's words seem to have coaxed Rainbow Dash enough. Maybe if she tells one person, she'll feel a little weight lift off her shoulders. Still keeping her back to Applejack, Rainbow Dash lifts up her gym shirt and lazily tosses it aside, exposing her bruised back to the farm girl, all black and blue. It is horrendous to look at. Applejack is beyond shocked to see this. Her eyes go wide, and she puts a hand over her mouth. Oh my goodness, Applejack quietly says. Rainbow Dash turns around and Applejack almost bursts out into tears. She notices her black sports bra, but also sees bruised shoulders, a thicker red mark on her neck, and a black and blue belly. Rainbow also bends over a little and lifts one side of her shorts up to reveal bruised thighs as well. Oh God. Water is welling up in Applejack's eyes. This is almost becoming too much for Applejack to handle. I'm taking you to the nurse's office. You need to get these things looked at. No, if I go there, she'll think I'm weak. Weak? Rainbow, look at yourself. I don't care what anyone says. You're hurt, and you need attention for it. Proving whether you're strong or not doesn't play well with your health. If she knows I went to see the nurse, she'll hurt me even more, Applejack. That is the third time Rainbow Dash said the word she. Applejack wants to press the issue of she a little bit. Who is the she? Rainbow looks down at the floor. Slowly, Applejack approaches Rainbow and gently wraps her hands around the athlete's biceps. Is this she the one hurting you? Rainbow Dash lets out a couple of sniffles and then nods. Who is it? It's my mom. She's done this to me. Applejack's eyes go as wide as dinner plates. Rainbow Dash's mother has been abusing her. She met Mrs. Dash before on countless occasions. Mrs. Dash is a super sweet and nice woman who loves her daughter with all her heart. Times must have changed. What? But how? What? How long? Applejack can see it in Rainbow's eyes that she is telling the truth. Now she wants a time period. About a year ago. She started to drink a lot, and she would hurt me, physically and emotionally. There is no way she could make this up. Applejack, a girl of honesty, knows Rainbow Dash is telling the truth. She just can't believe she's been blind to it for a whole year now. Rainbow Dash, your mom doesn't need to know you were at the nurse's office. You going there can just stay between you, me, and Nurse Redheart, okay? Wiping tears away from her eyes, Rainbow Dash nods. All right, get your shirt back on and just stay put. I'm going to tell Coach you ain't feeling well, and I'll take you down to see the nurse. Rainbow Dash nods in understanding, and she puts her gym shirt back on. Applejack jogs to the gymnasium to ask the coach to take Rainbow Dash to see Redheart. Thank you for dropping her off, Applejack, Nurse Redheart said. If her bruises had gone without treatment for much longer, it would have gotten real nasty. I'm just glad to help her out, Applejack says. Applejack successfully brought her rainbow friend to the nurse's office. Rainbow is laying on one of the beds on the other end of the room. Applejack and Redheart are a distance away, so Rainbow Dash is out of earshot, but they kept their voices low just in case. She has already told the nurse about Rainbow's situation and asked the nurse to keep it on the down low. You should head back to gym class, Applejack. The farm girl looks in the direction of Rainbow Dash's bed. A curtain has been drawn so no one can see Rainbow. She looks back at Redheart and nods. Once she leaves the nurse's office, she sees Principal Celestia walking down the hallway with a folder of papers in her hand. Principal Celestia! Applejack jogs to the principal, getting her attention as well.
Hello, Applejack.
She greets warmly and with a smile.
What are you doing outside of gym class?
I'll explain that soon. Listen, I need to speak with you in private, if that's okay.
Is there something wrong?
Yeah. I also need Pinky, Sunset, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Vice Principal Luna. They need to know. I don't want to explain twice.
Sure. I'll just make an announcement over the intercom.
No, this has to be as low-key as possible. Principal Celestia raises an eyebrow. What has Applejack like this? It has to stay between us 7. Okay, Principal Celestia knows this is definitely a fragile topic that must be discussed between selected individuals.
All right, I'll notify my sister. She and I will collect your friends personally and meet up in my office. You can head there now if you want.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So what is this all about, darling? Rarity asks. Everyone has been collected and is gathered inside the principal's office. The 5 girls are in front of Principal Celestia's desk. Celestia herself was sitting behind it while Vice Principal Luna stands beside her. I was in the middle of a quiz.
Is everything all right?
Sunset asks. Applejack closes her eyes and lets out a deep breath. Remember what I said in study hall about Rainbow Dash? Sunset nods her head, remembering what she discussed with Applejack only just an hour ago. Well, my gut was right.
Wait, what is this about Rainbow Dash?
Pinkie Pie asks.
Is she in trouble? Did something bad happen? Is she okay?
Pinkie Pie starts to panic and nervousness builds up inside her. Pinkie, easy, the farm girl says. Rainbow Dash is in the nurse's office.
What is she doing there?
Fluttershy asks.
Is she all right?
Now this is the part where things will get difficult to discuss. Applejack takes another deep breath. Girls, before I went out to the gym, I asked Rainbow if she was okay. Like, physically okay. I also kept asking her if anything was going on at home. She denied it, but my gut was telling me otherwise. I told her if something was up, she could tell me. It took some convincing, but I got her to talk. She lifted up her shirt and showed me. Applejack's words were starting to tremble. She's getting to the point where things will get very shaky, and that image of a battered Rainbow Dash keeps coming back to her mind. Showed me that her shoulders, stomach, back, and thighs were all bruised up, and she said to me that The water is starting to come back to her eyes. She brings a hand to them and wipes away any water from the sockets. Her mother caused the bruising and has been hitting her for a year now. There was a collective gasp around the room.
What?
Pinkie Pie and Sunset Shimmer blurt out.
No.
Rarity utters.
Really?
Would I make this up? Rarity and everyone else take a moment to absorb what Applejack just said. They can't believe it. They don't want to, but the most honest girl at CHS told them straight up. In a mere second, a dark, pity-like emotion lingered in the room. Fluttershy walks over to the chair in front of Celestia's desk and takes a seat. She puts her elbow on her knees and cups her hands over her face. She lets out some sorrowful sobs, and water hits her palms. Sunset walks to Fluttershy and tries to comfort her. She places a hand on her back and another on her shoulder. Pinkie runs her hand through her hair a repeated amount of times, breathing very heavily. She can feel the waterworks in her eyes slowly turning on, but she wants to hold back. She has to be strong for Rainbow Dash. Rarity, on the other hand, immediately breaks down into tears, hands over her face, crying hysterically. Her sobs take a good amount of wind out of her lungs. Principal Celestia and Vice Principal Luna are trying to process this. They believe Applejack is telling the truth. That's all she does. They just can't believe that one of the best athletes and students in the school has been living such a horrible and hurting life. Celestia rubs her temples, and Luna rubs her forehead in disbelief. Both are trying to maintain their composure. Why hasn't Rainbow Dash brought this to their attention?
This is unbelievable,
Princess Celestia mutters.
Her
mind can't seem to formulate what to say. Applejack, why did you want me and my sister to know this? Luna asked. Well, I need some advice on how to proceed with this.
Rainbow Dash told me she didn't want others to get involved because she doesn't want to be a burden." "That's ridiculous!" Principal Celestia exclaims, slamming her hand on the desk. "As a principal and educator, we're supposed to help our students with whatever troubles they have. It's our job. Rainbow Dash wouldn't be a burden. Applejack, what do you need again?" "I need to know what to do next. Please, Principal Celestia, anything you can tell me on what to do." Principal Celestia brings her index finger to her chin and tapped it a couple of times. When something comes to her, her face lights up, as if she remembered something. Opening one of the lower desk drawers, Principal Celestia goes through many papers and objects to find what she needs. "There it is," she says, finding what she needs. It's a small business card with a phone number and name on it, printed in black ink. "All of our teachers and counselors have these just in case something like this pops up." The principal extends her arm to Applejack to give her the card. She takes hold of it and reads it over. "Stormy Bolt, Child Protective Services, 123-639-6833. "You think this is the best way to go?" Applejack asks. "Yes. Call them. I'll let you use the phone here." Principal Celestia pushes the phone to the edge of the desk. Applejack looks at the card and then to the phone again. She knows it's the right thing to do. She picks up the receiver of the phone, punches in the numbers, and waits for someone to pick up. "Beep, beep." "This is Stormy Bolt of Child Protective Services. How can I help?" The voice on the other end is male, gruff but sincere. "Yes, hi, Mr. Bolt. I have something I need to report." Rainbow Dash's head is throbbing. It feels like Pinky is doing a drum solo on top of it. Rainbow Dash came home from school to her mother even more drunk than usual. She thought Rainbow was her husband in her drunken days. She violently lashed out at her, delivering a few blows to the head. Rainbow did the best she could to protect her black eye. Fortunately, and unfortunately, most of the hits were either to the side or back of the head. After Rainbow's mother let off some steam, she passed out on the sofa again. Rainbow is back in the bathroom, discreetly getting some pain meds. Rainbow remembers what her mother said about them, but she really needs these meds, despite what she was told. She might need to rely on those pills a little more often if her mother gets worse. She wipes away the water from the corners of her mouth and looks at herself in the mirror. She moves her hair and spreads it out so she can see if there is anything bad on her scalp. It doesn't look super bad. Just a little reddening, nothing terrible. Rainbow lets out a lengthy sigh and closes her eyes. "You are strong, RD. You are strong," she whispers to herself for encouragement. Thump, thump, thump. A loud rapping can be heard from the front door, startling Rainbow Dash. From where she is, she can hear her mother starting to stir. Very quickly, she gets out of the bathroom and runs to the door. Go get it," her mother says. "Yes, Mother," she responds. She makes it to the front, turns the brass knob, and opens the door. On the other side, there is a man in a gray suit with gray hair, and 2 police officers beside him, 1 male and 1 female. Can I help you?" the rainbow-haired girl asks on a bit of an edge. There's a feeling in the pit of her stomach for what this might be, but she isn't sure. "Polychrome Dash?" the man in the suit asks. Mom, door's for you." Rainbow Dash turns her head to see her mother is half passed out with a half-finished bottle of beer in her hand. Slowly, Rainbow Dash's mother gets off the sofa and walks to the door, zombie-like. She rubs her eyes with the palm of her free hand and then brings her finger to her forehead. By the time she's made it to the door, she sees the man in the suit and 2 police officers. "What's this all about?" "Polychrome Dash?" the man asks again. "Who wants to know?" "I'm Stormy Bolt. I'm with Child Protective Services." Rainbow Dash's mother turns her head to face her daughter, brows furrowed. "Did you call them?" "No, Mom, Rainbow Dash is cut off as her mother takes hold of her shoulders and pins her to the wall, dropping the beer bottle in the process, its contents spilling out onto the floor. "You called them!" "No, I didn't." The police don't hesitate to take action. The male police officer bolts inside and gets Rainbow Dash's mother off of her daughter.
The officer keeps the woman away from Rainbow by keeping two arms wrapped around her in a strong grip. The one wrapped in his lock is trying to get out, but her efforts are fruitless.
You little bitch! I can't believe you would do this to your mother!
That's enough, the male officer says. Polychrome Dash, you are under arrest for child abuse.
You're arresting me?
The officer doesn't even answer her. He just reads Polychrome's rights. You have the right to remain silent.
Let me go!
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney.
I demand you release me!
If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights? Rainbow's mother looks at her daughter, giving her a death-like glare, still trying to break free. Rainbow Dash is paralyzed in fear, scared to even move.
I hate you. I hope I don't ever see you again, you ungrateful bitch!
Rainbow Dash is taken aback by this. Did her mother really just say she hated her?
No.
She whispers, tears forming in her eyes. She doesn't want to believe it. Her mother said it up front and didn't even hesitate on her choice of words. That's enough. Get her out of here, the man in the suit says. The officer nods and escorts Mrs. Dash out of the premises. She is still trying to get out of the police officer's vice grip, but the officer seems to have more power over her. Once the two are out, the female officer and the suited man come up to Rainbow Dash, the rainbow-haired girl crying into her hands. Are you okay? The man says.
I can't believe she said that.
Are you Rainbow Dash? Rainbow nods a few times. My name is Stormy Bolt. I'm with Child Protective Services. We're going to help you.
It's a good thing you got here when you did, the female doctor says, writing down some notes on her clipboard. Any longer and it wouldn't have been good.
Rainbow is sitting on the examination table. Her shirt is off, leaving her with a bra on. She pulled up her spandex shorts a little so the doctor could see and examine the bruising there. After Mr. Bolt and the female cop removed Dash from her home, and the male officer taking Mrs. Dash away for questioning, they sent her to the hospital to have her bruises and injuries looked at. So far, nothing severe below her shoulders. The doctor has also checked her head to see if there has been any severe blunt force trauma. Fortunately, it was only small damage to the head, so a bandage had to be wrapped around it. No fractures, no concussions, nothing like that. But if her head got any more hits to it, Rainbow would have had something like that, maybe more serious.
Yeah, I guess,
Rainbow said quietly. She was still trying to wrap her head around what just happened. Child Services came to her home, arrested her mother said she hated her, and then she is brought to the hospital to be treated for any injuries she has. That's a lot to process.
So, what's going to happen? Well, we still need to run more tests with you, so you're going to be here for a bit, another day maybe. After that, Child Services will take care of you from there. Any idea what they will do? To me, that is.
Rainbow is grasping at straws to get answers. She has a feeling that the doctor wouldn't have an answer, but anything is better than nothing.
I'm under no discretion to say. To be honest, I don't know too much about that stuff.
Rainbow nods in understanding. If she doesn't know that much about it, then it's best not to press. I'm sorry, Applejack. Rainbow Dash cannot have any visitors in the meantime, Stormy Bolt tells the farm girl. The two are in the hospital's waiting room. Applejack knew Rainbow Dash would be here, so she wanted to swing by to see how she was holding up, only to be stopped by the Child Services worker. The doctor needs to work with her for treatment. She cannot have any visitors.
Well, when can I or anyone see her?
Applejack asks. She needs to see her friend. She just wants to know if she's okay. I'll tell you what. When the doctor says she's ready to be released, I'll give you a call. Applejack lets out a stressed sigh. That's probably the best she can do at this point.
All right, guess I'll just go home.
Applejack turns on her heel and starts to exit the building. Before she reaches the automatic door, she turns her head over her shoulder to give Mr. Bolt a look. Hey, thanks for getting Rainbow Dash out of that mess she was in. It's no problem. It's what I do. Applejack gives a nod and exits the hospital. She walks back into her home to see her grandmother at the kitchen table, filling out some papers of some sort. Tax or bill stuff, probably.
Hey, Granny, Applejack says, closing the door behind her.
Howdy there, Applejack. How you holding up?
The elder asks, not averting her eyes from the paper. Okay, I guess.
Worried about Rainbow?
Applejack's eyes go wide at the question. How did she know about this?
How did you... Your Principal Celestia called.
Granny Smith puts the pen down and looks at her granddaughter with a serious look on her face.
She told me what you told her and the rest of your friends. I'm not sure what Rainbow Dash's reaction may be, but I am glad you did what was right. I'm very proud of you, Applejack.
Granny Smith gets up from her seat, walks over to Applejack, and gives her a tight embrace. Applejack has her arms at her sides for a few seconds, but brings them up to return her grandmother's hug.
I'm sure your parents are looking down on you smiling.
Thanks, Granny. Do you think Rainbow Dash would be grateful for what I did?
I can't speak for her, but I would like to think that deep down she is more than grateful for what you've done.
Rainbow Dash is still awake, sitting up a little bit in the hospital bed. She isn't in her normal clothes, rather one of the hospital gowns that Rarity thinks are a crime against fashion. The doctors gave Rainbow some meds that are much stronger and better than the over-the-counter stuff, so she can at least sleep easier. But going over the events of the day is keeping her awake. Ever since she arrived in the hospital, today's events have been replaying in her head over and over again. Services arrive, arrest Mother, Mother says she hated her. Just that, over and over again for the past several hours. She never called Child Protective Services. How did they know? Were they tipped off? If so, who had given them the tip? The only other person who knew about Rainbow's situation was... Applejack, she says quietly. Could she have told them? She was the only other person who knew. She told her today, and Child Services came in today. It had to be her. Anger and frustration built up inside her, making her blood boil. That little hick, Rainbow Dash whispered with venom. Why did Applejack do that? Because of that farm girl, her mom hates her now and doesn't want to see her. It's all her fault. The next time she sees the cowgirl, Rainbow is going to have quite a few words to say to her. The weekend finally rolls around. Students who are in school are out and free to do what they want for the 48 hours they are out. However, Rainbow Dash's friends will be spending their 48 hours making sure she's okay. Applejack got the call from Stormy Bolt not too long ago saying Rainbow will be free to go in a little while. She's been treated for and is expected to make a full recovery, considering the fact that her injuries were very treatable. Just as long as she takes the pills the doctors have prescribed for her, she'll be physically okay. Right now, her friends are walking to the hospital, all ready to be there for Rainbow for whatever she needs. The group stops outside the hospital, just looking through the automatic door that stands before them, and opening. Remember, gals, Applejack starts off, we need to be there for her. The rest of the group nods in understanding as they proceed to walk in, the door opening for them. The second they walk in, they see Rainbow at the front desk with Stormy Bolt. Her back is to her friends, so she doesn't see them. Pinkie Pie is the first to react. She takes off in a sprint to Rainbow Dash and locks her in a death hug.
Ah!
Rainbow lets out in surprise.
Oh, thank God you're okay!
She lets out with a few tears streaming down her eyes.
I was so worried!
Pinkie, Rainbow says, hoarse.
Let go. It's getting hard to breathe.
Pinkie lets go immediately and rubs the back of her head embarrassedly.
Sorry, I just got overwhelmed.
We're really glad to see you're okay, Dash, Applejack says, walking up to her with the rest of the group. When Applejack got in Rainbow's vision, her brow furrows and anger is written all over her face. Her nostrils even flare a little. Rainbow?
You!
She shouts and points an accusing finger at her. Did you do this? Applejack is caught completely off guard. She takes a worried step back and puts her hands up defensively. Were you the one who called Child Services? Easy, Rainbow Dash, Stormy Bolt says.
Easy my ass. Because of her, I can't see my mom. Because of her, she said she hates me.
Rainbow Dash brings her attention back to Applejack, who looks a little nervous. You are the reason all of this has happened. Rainbow, I couldn't sit by and have your mom beat you to a pulp, Applejack says.
What kind of friend would I be if I let that happen?
I was perfectly fine.
With what? Getting beaten senseless and letting her get away with it?
The back and forth between the two friends is making everyone else around them a little uncomfortable. They haven't really gone out on each other like this. At least, not since the Battle of the Bands.
You're my friend, Rainbow Dash. What kind of person would I be to let this happen? What if you were in my place and I was in yours? Or how about this? What if it was Scootaloo?
Rainbow Dash's anger leaves her face in less than a second at the mention of the name.
Scootaloo,
she mumbles. Her young friend who idolizes her like she was a celebrity. Actually, no, Scootaloo is more like a sister to Rainbow Dash. If something were to happen to that sweet child, Rainbow wouldn't just stand by and let it happen. She would take action, help her, be there for her. That's exactly what Applejack is doing right now, and she was completely blind to it.
Oh God.
Rainbow cups her hands in front of her face, having a deep moment of clarity. Applejack takes a few steps towards Rainbow and gives her an assuring hug. Rainbow doesn't hesitate to return it. She even starts to cry into her friend's shoulder.
I am such an idiot.
You're not an idiot, Rainbow. Applejack's tone is a lot more calm and assuring, speaking comfort to her friend.
I'm sorry I got angry with you, Applejack. I was just...
Shh. The two stay in the tight embrace, not saying a thing. All Applejack wanted to do in this moment is to just comfort her friend. Hugs seemed to be the best way to do it. Before the two knew it, another set of arms wrapped around them. Applejack moves her eyes to see Pinkie has joined them, then Fluttershy and Rarity, and then everyone collects themselves into one group hug. Rainbow is in the center of the group, feeling all of their love reach out to her. Stormy Bolt is tearing up a little at the sight of the group hug. He can't help but feel emotional. He lets out a slight sniffle, and the receptionist at the desk offers him some tissues. He takes some from the box and blows his nose into one of the cloths. Thanks, he tells the receptionist. She nods to respond. After a couple minutes of group hugging, everyone lets go. Rainbow feels a lot better now, knowing her friends are by her side, and they will help her no matter what. I'm sorry to intrude, Stormy says, but we need to head to the courthouse.
Why?
Rainbow asks. Well, you're still a minor. We need to assign you to foster care.
Wait, seriously?
Stormy Bolt nods his head for yes.
Where are they going to put me? Will I still see my friends again?
Rainbow is unsure about all of this. She doesn't want to be separated from everything she keeps dear to her. Don't worry, Rainbow Dash. I have a good feeling the judge will appoint you to a good home.
Can we come?
Fluttershy asks. You can't come into the courtroom, but you are welcome to wait for her. With the girls in the lobby waiting, Rainbow Dash stands in front of a female judge inside a courtroom. The judge is looking at her case file, carefully taking every detail in for consideration. Stormy Bolt is right by the teen's side for assurance. All right, Miss Dash, the judge in front of her says. We are to appoint you to a foster home, and we have one right here. The judge pulls out a slip of paper from her desk and reads it over to her. A Miss Granny Smith of 42 Orchard Lane.
Wait, what?
Rainbow asks.
You said Granny Smith, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Miss Dash. Is there something wrong?
No, nothing's wrong. It's just that I know her. She's a relative to a good friend of mine.
Well, if you ask me, things must have worked out in your favor then. You are with someone you are familiar with, and they are willing to look out for you. Do you have any other questions, Miss Dash? Rainbow takes a moment to ponder over what the judge has said. Her foster caretaker will be Applejack's grandmother. She'll be living with Applejack and her family. She'll be with people who know her and look out for her. After everything she's gone through, they are the ones to care for her. Maybe the judge is right. Maybe things have worked out in her favor. Miss Dash?
Yes, Your Honor?
She snaps out of her daze and gives her full attention to the judge. Any more questions?
No, Your Honor. I think I should be all right.
All right, you are free to go, Miss Dash. The judge slams her gavel on the wooden circular plate to end Rainbow's home replacement. Next case. Rainbow Dash walks off to the side with Stormy Bolt by her side, escorting her out of the courtroom. They go to the courthouse's lobby and see Rainbow's friends waiting for her. Rarity is the first to notice and gets everyone else's attention. The group jogs up to Rainbow Dash, anticipating good things.
Well?
Sunset asks. Rainbow Dash looks up to Stormy Bolt and then back to her friends.
I'll be in foster care, but my caretaker is AJ's grandmother.
Say what? Applejack blurts out, surprised. Did she just say what she thought she said?
Wait, so you'll be moving in with us?
Apparently.
The group was silent for a moment. Applejack and Rainbow are going to be rooming with each other.
That's,
Applejack is still trying to wrap her head around the idea. When was her grandmother foster home eligible? Are they up to the standards of foster care? If so, how and when? If you're wondering how this came to be, Stormy Bolt asks, Granny Smith and I were and still are good old pals. I owed her a favor many years ago, and yeah, rest is pretty much what transpired. She was able to file the paperwork in time, too. Of all things, a child service agent is friends with Granny Smith. Rainbow just hit the lottery. Not only has she been removed from a hellish home, she'll be bunking with her friend's family. The Apples are like a second family to Rainbow. They've been by her side through it all. Whether it was the championship game or friendship difficulties, the Apples were able to catch her when she fell, and they'll continue to do that for her.
I don't know what to say,
Rainbow says.
I'm just...
In that very moment, tears were flooding her cheeks. None of sorrow or despair, but of joy. Pure joy. Everything is going to be fine. Everything will be okay. Rainbow Dash, Stormy says. Before we drop you off at your new home, would you like to stop by your old home and gather your belongings?
Sure.
Standing in the door frame with all of her belongings in large boxes and luggage cases by her feet, Rainbow Dash looks over her shoulder into her home that she stayed in. She's closing a chapter of her life and starting a new one. A new chapter full of love and hope, not one of violence and abuse. This hellhole is a thing of the past, and now she is moving on. Touching the frame with her hand, she lets out a sigh. It's as if the weight of the world is off her shoulders. She doesn't have to fake anything anymore. She doesn't have to cover herself in makeup to hide the abuse, or fake her joy. She can be genuinely happy again. Sure, there is going to be therapy to help better her mental health. All the abuse does come with a psychological toll. But the fact that she can start anew brings so much happiness to the Rainbow Girl. Rainbow Dash is free. She doesn't have to suffer anymore. With that in mind, she closes the door of her former home with a satisfying thud, steps off the porch with her belongings in her hand, and starts her new, abuse-free life. The end.